We'll start the stream here in about a moment, guys. Let me know if you have audio. This is going to be a film study look at the Ravens' 22 personnel group. I've got a significant number of plays queued up for you guys to try to explain some of the things that I think Todd Monken is doing in terms of manipulating the defense, getting certain defensive personnel groups on the field, and then utilizing a multitude of concepts to try to exploit that. It's been one of the personnel groups that has generated the biggest plays for the Ravens in 2024, particularly against the Bengals last week. If you don't know, two of our bigger plays, Charlie Kolar's 55-yard catch, I think in the third quarter, and then Derrick Henry's 51-yard run in overtime, both of those plays emanated from 22 personnel. If you guys have my audio, please let me know so I can make sure that my streaming software is working. We're going to get the film started here in a moment, but I want to go through a little bit of data first before I show some of the plays and talk through some of the concepts that Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are using. Before their Week 5 game against the Bengals, the 22 personnel group for the Ravens had the second highest EPA for the Ravens for the season. I think up through the point in time at which they had run 242 offensive plays, something like that. Whatever it was before they played the Bengals. Let me know if you guys have audio in the chat, please, just so I can know that I can just flow on here. 12 personnel was actually the highest group in terms of EPA. I don't have the data for yards per play. To be honest with you, I am really far behind in documenting my database. Tori, thank you for letting me know. Thank you, guys. If the sound is not clear, please let me know. So I don't have my data updated at all for the online database. I'm going off of a website called Sumer Sports and two others where I kind of tried to confirm what my eyes were telling me, which was that 22 personnel was something that Todd Monken was not only using often, I think it's about 10 or 11% of the time so far this year, which is the second most in the NFL, but that it was working. And as I said earlier, the two biggest plays against the Bengals was from 22 personnel. Kolar's big catch, Henry's 51-yard run. I think it's probably the most interesting dynamic so far for the Ravens from a personnel standpoint. Because going into the season, we all, myself included, talked about a lot of 12 personnel usage with Likely and Andrews. And that has been effective. Again, if you go by the data on Sumer Sports, it's been the most effective personnel grouping by EPA. But 22 personnel has been the one that I think shows almost the most wild amount of diversity in the way that we can attack with it. Basically, 22 personnel generally for the Ravens in 2024 has not included Mark Andrews. It's been Kolar, Likely, and Ricard in there with Derrick Henry. I don't know about you. I'd actually like to see Justice Hill on in some of those groups. But I'm going to get started here with the film. I think there's a whole offense in here for the Ravens. I think there's an entire offense that's being revealed 1 week, one play, one concept at a time. You're going to see some very different formations utilized. I'm going to start it in a typical fashion. And what I mean by that is 22 personnel, we all, myself included, think about two running backs, two tight ends. You're running the football a lot, and that's certainly what this first formation is going to be about. It's called slot I. You guys are about 5 to 6 seconds behind me. So if you get any lag or anything like that, please let me know. So this is the first iteration of this that we saw was on the first drive against the Chiefs, and it was running the football to the side where we have the most receivers. So I'm going to explain to you why in my reaction video on Sunday. I was able to tell you I was already writing down the play call on the safety where Sam Hubbard tackles Derrick Henry in the end zone because slot I, a 22 personnel group, Isaiah Likely is off the line of scrimmage, and he's attached to either the right tackle or the left tackle. We're running to that side predominantly from that particular alignment. I'll show you a different iteration, slot I up, that is almost 100% pass. Here's the all 22 of that play again. This is week 1 against the Chiefs, obviously, I think first possession. So notice the receiver lined up out wide, obviously Ricard in the backfield, Likely on the same side as the receiver. That's the two receiver side, and that's where we're running the football. I don't think this is a Todd Monken offensive concept. I don't think this is something that necessarily he brought with him from Georgia. It's a merging of the offenses, but I think as we get through this video, if you stick through it long enough, we will see the versatility that is provided by 22 personnel, even though, again, every single time you see Likely attached to the formation off the line of scrimmage, Derrick Henry behind Pat Ricard in the backfield, we're running to that side. We're talking about like 92, 93% plus. It doesn't mean it hasn't been effective, but through multiple games, I backfield, Kolar as the backside tight end, Likely the slot tight end on the same side as the receiver. That's where we're going. Now, this happens to be a cutback. I'll give you the end zone angle of it. It's effective. Not saying it's not, but I'm also illustrating to you that it is predictable, and that's why I felt confident in the reaction video saying to you, as soon as we lined up in the back, and I'll show you the play in a moment, as soon as we lined up near our own end zone in slot I was like, okay, this could be a problem. So same formation, or same play, end zone angle. Likely, again, you can see he's off the line of scrimmage. Kolar is on. The flow is starting to Likely side in almost every situation. We do a nice job here on the backside, kind of collapsing this down. Also, the right tackle has worked up to linebacker level, and you can see that Falele and Linderbaum have sealed down here. Makari's been able to turn, I think it's Overshown, and then Henry burst through. I think this is his 26-yard touchdown run against the Cowboys. Here's the safety. This is, again, why I felt confident in saying in the reaction video that I knew the play. Watch when Likely motions over. It should now be quite familiar and obvious to you. It's the same exact formation I've shown you, I think, 4 or 5 times already. 22 personnel, slot I, and you may say, Coach, this doesn't sound positive so far. Well, we'll get there. I'm just letting you know that I think this is an offense that's being revealed, this 22 personnel grouping, particularly slot I. One game, 1 week, 1 play at a time, I should say. In this case, Roger Rosengarten is probably stepping away from his assignment. Hubbard, nobody touches Hubbard. It's not a missed block by Pat Ricard. Pat Ricard's supposed to get the front side inside linebacker, so it's a mistake, if you ask me, by our rookie offensive tackle, Roger Rosengarten. Looks like we're comboing here to the backside inside linebacker. It's actually not an inside linebacker. It's battle the safety. And Rosengarten would be working on the 4 or the 4I, Likely stepping out to the linebacker, and then Ricard would go ISO block Logan Wilson, and it would be the job of the backside inside linebacker or one of these guys up front to try to get to Derrick Henry. I think we're in business, especially dealing with 27, if we can get Hubbard dealt with and get Ricard out on the front side inside linebacker. But that's why those things happen, because it's predictable at times. A couple of more iterations of it, and then we'll switch to slot I up, which is a totally different play, but it's still got a 22 personnel. Look, all you need is any kind of crease for Derrick Henry. He's going to get the job done. He's having an unbelievable season, if you ask me, so far. All right, so this is slot I up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. You guys should have... I didn't mean to trigger you with the Falele film. You should have the formation name, and I'll try to change it each time. Are you guys getting lag? Keep getting a notification from my streaming software that the internet speed is too slow. So let me know if you are. So same formation it looks like, right? Not necessarily. Likely is on the line of scrimmage. The receiver is now off. Why is that? Because it's a pass play. We are, I think, 4 for 4 here in the last 3 weeks on this. And there's multiple iterations of it. Number 1. Number 2, it's been effective. I mean, thank you for letting me know that it's not lagging. I appreciate it. I'm just, when I show you these things, I'm not trying to sound smart. I'm telling you this is the way I was taught the game by other people, way smarter than me. It was just something that was passed down to me. I didn't come up with this shit on my own. But it tells you the play in some cases. But Monken's going to add plays. He's going to add flavor to it as the season goes on. And that'll be revealed to you during this video. There'll certainly be more than just the under center play action stuff. But I think we're hitting people big with it. I think it's effective. It has to be. The defense, has to try to do something to account for the run game and kind of come downhill, open themselves up for potential passes. I love the split flow nature out of this. Ricard going to the right, Henry going to the left. We really are helping our pass pro. You can see Likely is also open in the middle of the field, wide open. Lamar hits Zay for a 23-yard gain. Zay gave him a tremendous amount of difficulty. I did a Zay Flowers film study video that came out earlier today. Check it out if you have not done so already. I'll link it up in the description. So week 4 against the Bills, we're moving between these 3 games intentionally so that you can see the carryover. This is slot I. Well, which version is it? Likely is on the line. So it's a play action pass. It's a sail concept. So he's running a deeper out underneath of Zay, who's basically running a clear out route. Lamar throws it over the linebacker level. It's a nice throw. Likely actually did get impeded here a little bit off the line. What's the point? The point is we are showing our hand a little bit pre-snap by how we line up, but we're extremely effective at it. Think about the Bills. They're a base nickel defense. Taron Johnson obviously didn't play. There was a point in time in that game where they brought in their third inside linebacker. What does that do? Well, it brings someone on the field who doesn't normally play, a third inside linebacker. That's not actually the case here. This is Rapp, one of their safeties, but I think you've got 3 linebackers here. At least one of them I didn't see a whole lot of film of before we played the Bills. Monken can control which guys are on the field based upon which personnel group he puts out there. Look how clean the pocket is for Lamar. It's not always going to be that way in 22 personnel, but it's a real misnomer for people to say, oh, if you put that many guys in the box, they're going to stack the box and put pressure on Lamar. No, they're there to stop Derrick Henry. That's why it's such a brilliant signing. That's why the utilization of Henry has been so good thus far this year. Beautiful throw by Lamar, though, over the top of the linebacker level, layered underneath of the safety. If you guys like the video, please let me. If you enjoy the video, please let me know by liking and or leaving a comment. I'm trying to increase engagement. One of the people who's in my Discord, gave me a suggestion to stream more often, so here we are. So this is slot I, 22 personnel. Which version is it? Look at likely and the receiver. It's play action. Now, it's a little bit different. Monken added this in. He didn't show this early on. It's coming back to the tight end side, which is a good thing. We're faking the run where we always run it to this side, number one. Number two, I have a little bit of an issue in that now Justice Hill is in here. I'd like to thank you, T-Sizzle. I appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section. I'm going to pause here in a moment when I'm done with this formation because we're going to go through by formations so that you, as the listener or the watcher, when we get to the game Sunday against Washington, can hopefully identify some of the stuff we're doing. And in fact, maybe even you can predict the plays. It's fun for me to try to do that. I actually enjoy when I'm wrong. Tight end down here is releasing. That's to occupy this safety. Nice job by the Bills. They're bringing the corner off the tight end nobody side. That's the guy who ends up kind of influencing Lamar to throw the ball early. We hit likely coming across. Originally, if you recall, this was ruled a completion, and on review was ruled to have touched the ground. All right, this is going to be a second formation that we'll do in order for me to set this up properly. Got to change the formation name, so forgive me. You're going to hear me typing for a moment. All right, if you have a question in the comment section, let me know now, and I'll try to handle that between switching from one formation to the other. Thank you, Shaky. I appreciate it. Robert Leach, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I tried to avoid referencing Falele, but then since you're in here now, I guess I'll go ahead and pump that up a whole bunch to get your blood pressure high. T-Sizzle, thank you for asking people to smash the like button. I got 5 formations to go over here, and what I think Monken is doing is oftentimes showing one of the formations early out of 22 personnel to see how the defense, react to it, number one. And then number two, adjust accordingly. He's got the plays in. The plays are installed. It's just a matter of what order he wants to reveal them in. Oh, you're on something because you can't spell. Robert, I have no idea, man. It's going to be a tough haul to get through the AFC. Let's just get them to the playoffs, you know what I mean? And then I think we've got just as good a chance as anybody, whether we're at home or on the road, especially with how motivated, focused, and I think driven Lamar Jackson is right now. I think he's a guy that as long as we keep him close, he's going to figure out a way to either win us the game or give us a shot right at the end. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Still learning how to get my streaming software acclimated. So we're still in 22 personnel, guys. Personnel is first. The formation flows from the personnel grouping. This is, I call it pro slot or pro twins. And if you recall, this is a really nice play that was set up the week before. So I'm going to move forward here and let you see the play once from the end, all 22, once from the end zone. And then I'm going to go to the Cowboys play the week before that kind of sets this up. You got motion across Zay Flowers. And then this case, Justice Hill is sliding out in the opposite direction. So there's your split flow going out into the flats. Easy completion for Lamar against a too high look. 9 yards for Justice Hill. We get the first down on the very next play. Why is this workout so easy? Well, I don't know if this is all of the reason why, but this is related. Same exact formation, same setup. Flowers in motion right to left. Justice Hill is the back. Ricard is the slot. We have, I think, are close to an illegal formation. Likely is ruled to be on the line of scrimmage. Fine. But if you look at Likely's foot, almost even with the 34, and Flowers' foot ever so slightly behind his, maybe 6 inches behind. I think we're close. But in any case, it's the same motion by Flowers across. QB power read. Remember, Lamar keeps this on a 2nd and 9, gets 10 yards, finishes the game against the Cowboys. Thankfully, we don't have to watch our defense go out there and try to get a stop, which they were unable to do. So these are plays that stress the horizontal integrity of the defense in a way that the first formation I showed you, slot I and slot I up, does not. C. Blooms, what's up, man? Thank you for joining in, man. Always appreciate it. So Lamar's reading here on QB Power Read. Normally you're reading the edge defender. In this case, it's a safety. That guy goes with Zay Flowers. In fact, actually tackles him. Lamar keeps it. Charlie Kolar hits the deck. I think Ricard hits the deck for a moment. But this is the same exact play I showed you a minute ago against the Bills. Same exact formation, same exact motion, but it's a different play. We'll go back so you can see it just from the end zone angle. Same setup, 22 personnel. Kolar, Likely, Ricard, motion right to left on our screen. Flowers. Now look, Monken doesn't run these consecutively, right? He might run 22 personnel on the 4th possession a couple of times. Maybe not run it at all on the 5th possession. And then come back to it on the 6th or 7th possession. So he's not going to make it easy. It's like a movie with multiple storylines happening at the same time. And you, as the watcher of the movie, you've got to track each storyline. Well, the defensive coordinator, trying to figure out what the heck's going on, has got to track 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 21, 22. Robert Leach, I'm not sure. I don't think we need him, to be honest with you. I would like to see us, if we're going to do something that's an acquisition, I want to see us improve the offensive line. I think if we protect Lamar and keep him upright, we win as many games as possible, absent turnovers. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense, not to minimize Devontae Adams, hell of a player, in my opinion, but I don't think we need him. I think we would need an improvement at the offensive line. So hopefully you guys can see the conflict that's created by the horizontal jet motion. I call it fast motion if it's in the shotgun from Flowers. Worked against the Cowboys to win the game. Worked against the Bills the very next week. A year on the bench. I agree. So now we're into Trey Wing. So let me change the... If you have any questions about the last set of plays that I showed you, let me know. It's going to be a new formation where the 2 tight ends and the fullback Ricard are all on the same side. Are you surprised at all that 22 personnel is working as well as it has so far this year? I am. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit surprised. I'm a little bit surprised at how much 22 personnel has been gashing people and the big plays that have been generated from it. I have been critical of Todd Monken before, and in this case, Athenian, yeah, I'm coming back to the film. You just see the graphic, right? I'm coming back to it. Thank you for letting me know, though. I have been surprised at how Monken has been able to scheme up some of this stuff from 22 personnel. What I'm doing is, Athenian, thank you for letting me know again, is I'm putting the name of the formation in the top right corner so that people can identify something, during the game if they want to. Trey Wing is an interesting formation. I understand some people may recoil in horror at it because there's so many players all packed in here very tightly. Part of that is by design. I have to think that there's going to be a run to the strong side and then a boot off of it coming at some point soon. But this one's generally been run concepts. It's either duo or I call it down base. It's kind of ugly. Short yardage is really when Monken uses this. And it seems to have been short yardage in the second half. It's a 3rd and 1. I think we're into the third quarter against the Bills, but I could be wrong. Henry picks up 5. It's a big one on a 3rd and 1 against the Cowboys the week before. Look at how the Cowboys are lined up to it. We've created a 5-man surface here. Kolar, Ricard, Likely. I kind of think it's cool that we're putting Ricard in the middle. Kolar and Ricard both lose here. I think this is just a genetic mismatch. The guys they're trying to block. But Henry cuts it back. 29 yards, just a huge stiff arm. I think in the 3rd or the 4th quarter. My streaming software keeps telling me that it's lagging. So if you guys are not getting lag, please confirm that for me. I don't want to put out a poor product. So it's downhill. Everybody's trying to block down on this side. We've initially triple comboed this defensive tackle, and then Falele moves up to the safety, and lo and behold, Henry, wherever there's a gap, wherever there's a seam, it seems like he's going to find it. I mean, we knew that he was great at reading and sliding into the open gap, but to watch it actually happen for your team, it feels like a cheat code on a video game to me. Same play, end zone angle. The 2 tight ends and the fullback are up to the top side of the screen. It doesn't matter with him. Do you remember when we played the Titans so many times for over a 2 or 3 year period? Let me restart that sentence. I remember playing the Titans so many times, and they would overload one side of the formation, and then the run concept would end up hitting back here to the weak side. I was like, how is this happening? There's nobody else out there. Part of it is that Henry is so good at pressing the line of scrimmage and then bringing this back into the open gaps on the backside. I think he's just incredibly intelligent and aware during the game, savvy, veteran, whatever you want to call it. So this Trey Wing is a 100% run formation for me so far, but it's also very, very effective. So now a shotgun formation. It shouldn't be surprising that it's actually a pass play. The name up here, forgive me. Generally, the system I was taught for formation names is a half field, so wing, slot. The wing is up to the top side. 2 tight ends. The slot is down here. Remember the Zay Flowers motion, the fast sweep QB power read. If the receiver was out here, it'd be called pro slot. So you basically take the formation, cut it in half, name one side, whatever it is, pro or wing, name the other side, whatever it is, slot or twins, and move on. It's a cool little play, if you ask me. Takes advantage of the tendencies. Takes advantage of the tendencies for the defense to maybe get a little heavier, number one. Number two, also plays into the fact that we have really good tight ends. And Kolar and Likely's route is almost a little bit in the same window, if you ask me. Kolar's kind of bringing this back. I think he's bringing it away from this tight end. Excuse me, this inside linebacker. He's almost bringing it back into the same window where Likely is. I'm going to run this back again, and I want you to watch and kind of pay attention to what's going on up here with Ricard and Henry. We're not the only people that do this. The first time I saw the Ravens do this was a 2022 playoff game against the Bengals with J.K. Dobbins. We completed it up to the right-hand side of our offense. It's called I call it a one-man screen. Other people have different names for it. So we've got two short routes by the tight ends, and then Ricard is actually not running a route. Ricard is out here to be used as a potential lead blocker if Lamar wants to get the ball to Henry. I love it. I love having that as a late release valve with an add-on blocker in front. It's pretty cool if you ask me. It's essentially, I call it a one-man screen. Everybody else in pass pro. In this case, Lamar out of 22 personnel in shotgun hits Kolar for 7 yards. The big one to Kolar for 55. Everybody's talked about, is this a Greg Roman play? Well, it certainly is a holdover from stuff that we did in 2020 and even 2019 to a certain extent. 2020, I can remember a couple of completions against the Colts on the road in Indianapolis like this. I remember another one against Arizona, I think 2019. Or motion and likely across. Technically, this one will be wing slot, like I have it, labeled up at the top hand side of the screen. Ricard is going to release to the outside and run a vertical. Kolar is going to run up the top of the numbers, likely. And then I think this is Aguilar with a little out and up, 4 verticals essentially. Why does it work? Well, the Bengals are in their 4 inside linebacker look. You have 4 inside linebackers on the field for the Bengals. Only 3 DBs, one of which is Von Bell, who's a safety. Did not look good in coverage nor in tackling the other day to me. I don't mean to be disrespectful towards him at all. I think he's had a fantastic career there, but I thought he got taken advantage of in some cases. And I think when Monken and the offensive staff saw the 4 inside linebacker look against 22 personnel, they knew where they wanted to go. Thank you guys for letting me know there's no lag. Appreciate it. So one more iteration here before we get to back into some under center eye stuff. This one will be called Prowing, because you still have the 2 tight ends up here, Likely and Kolar. But then down here you've got the fullback, Ricard, on as a tight end, and then a Z receiver who's off the line of scrimmage. So if you're interested, and I haven't done a good job of explaining it, this is Pro, tight end on the line, Z receiver, which is Flowers, off, and then this is Wing. It kind of doesn't matter what you start with in the system that I was taught by a football coach who's 1,000 times better and more competent than I am, but you just got to be consistent with whatever you do. Normally the slot or the twins come second. Sometimes people just name them from right to left and move on. All right, so why I really like this one, still 22 personnel, got Henry in the backfield, but we're running jet sweep. First play of the game against the Bengals, if you don't recall. It looks like my stream has broken up. If it did for you, please let me know. It goes for 9 yards. I love it because it sets up so many other concepts. So we got the jet sweep over here, 2 lead blockers, and Likely and Kolar were leaving Hendrickson unblocked, saying go ahead and make the play if you want. If he were to do so, then naturally we could run the zone back here to this side, what I really like about it is that's where Ricard is. That's where we generally want to run the football. I don't know about you, but I feel like Kolar has really leveled up in blocking. And he's really been more consistent, number one. Number two, it doesn't seem like he's trying to hit a whole bunch of home runs, just doubles. And then the final reason why this makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, and I've noticed this out of 22 personnel a lot as well, it doesn't require a lot of Lamar Jackson. And I think that's what is the subtle brilliance of our 22 personnel stuff so far. It can almost be like in an NBA basketball game where a ball-dominant superstar for a possession or two in a row doesn't have to carry the load, and they can let someone else execute. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. I'm going to pause here for a moment. If you guys have any questions about what we've seen so far or anything you want to see again, please let me know. I tend to run these live streams probably a little quick in terms of me talking. I understand that you guys have a little bit of a delay, so I should probably be a little bit more patient at times in fielding questions. Jay Clems, what's up, man? Thank you for joining in. I recognize your name. Robert Gates, excellent point. I will make a point about those outbreaking routes and 11 personnel here at the end to try to weave in or tie in my thoughts on the Ravens' usage of 22 personnel. Again, we're talking about 10 or 11% of their plays so far this year have been out of 22 personnel. I think 11 personnel is about 30 or 33%, which is significantly lower than league average. I think league average on 11 personnel is something like 48 to 52%, somewhere in that range. You know, I could be off significantly there, but I don't think I'm off by 20%. Truth Bearer, what's up, man? Thank you for joining. I know you've been around for a long time in my streams and in my comment section, so thank you. I agree. Kolar looked great. He's not a sprinter, but he looked great. One more formation to get to here. And then we'll get to a couple of trick plays that Monken has used. This one is kind of back to the flavor of the first formation I showed you, which was called slot eye. This one will be called wing eye, and some people may refer to it as pro. So I'm going to refer to it as wing eye because of how close Likely is to the tight end. They're almost pretty much right next to each other. There's enough of a gap in there. I think what he's doing by opening up that gap, he being Monken, is I think he is intentionally giving the edge defender space to try to line up, to entice him to line up in that gap. Obviously, this is the overtime run by Derrick Henry for 51 yards. So here's what I'm talking about. I'm calling this wing. Some people will call it pro. But in order for it to be pro, basically, I think Likely would have to be off screen here, us not to be able to see him. So what I'm talking about is up there, wing eye. I would call it wing eye. And Monken likes to run to the two receiver side, but not out of this formation as much. The toss play to the weak side, away from the two tight ends, is really hitting people this year. I mean, he'll toss you to either side as well. It seems elementary, or maybe rudimentary is the correct word. Jeremiah, what's up, man? Thank you for joining in. It seems elementary, but it's effective. It's brutal. And again, it doesn't ask Lamar to really get to accomplish a whole lot, either with his processing, either with his feet, either with throwing the football accurately. That's why I think the bringing in Derrick Henry, keeping Patrick Ricard on the roster at this point in time looks like a really astute move by our front office. Again, it's wing eye. Dre, what's up, man? And we've generated some big plays out of this. Two tight ends up to the top side. You can see Likely's a little bit closer. Henry behind Ricard in the eye. 38 yards on the toss. This time it's to the tight end side. It's not to the receiver side. We're not cracking it. Henry almost takes this to the house. It's the one where he really set up. I think it's DeMar Hamlin, the safety, with the block by Ricard. Vashawn, that's a great point. I didn't say that, but that's a fantastic point. Lamar not having to lead our run game here. I mean, we see what Derrick Henry can still do. It's pretty amazing. So we've got wing eye twice. There is a old school philosophy or thought process whereby so many offensive coordinators, and I'm not saying this is Todd Monken, but early in this season, all of our formations out of the eye, we're pretty much running the ball to the side where the two receivers are. Now, this one is interesting from last week. You now have the two tight ends on the same side, but you may or may not notice something about the offensive line. We've gone unbalanced. Ronnie Stanley has moved from left tackle over to the second right tackle. Why? Because last year we gave the Bengals a heck of a time, them trying to stop Unbalanced. In fact, they were unable to do so. This is early in the game. I believe this is third possession, but I could be wrong. And we've gone Unbalanced to our right, the top side of the screen, and then we toss him back to the bottom side of the screen. I think it's pretty cool. He's playing games with Lou Anarumo's head and basically showing him, hey, just because I go unbalanced to one side doesn't mean that I'm going to only run to that side. The rule, I don't want to say rule, the tendency that I see so far for Monken when we're under center and it's I formation is wherever the two receivers are, now granted it's two tight ends, but I'm saying eligible receivers, wherever those two guys are, that's the side where more often than not we're running the football, except for the toss stuff that we'll put to the split inside when we're running toss crack. And then finally, Henry's touchdown run out of a Wildcat formation against the Raiders was also out of 22 personnel. It's basically the same exact formation I showed you earlier, Trey Wing, where you have the two tight ends with Ricard in between them, and then we're just running down, duo, whatever you want to call it. Henry up the gut, 5-yard touchdown, or 3-yard touchdown, excuse me. And it makes sense. These are the guys that Monken trusts, and John Harbaugh as well, trusts to block well at the point of attack, especially in these muddle huddle situations, kind of where you got so many guys in the middle of the field. It's a fun and challenging personnel group for me to try to break down for you. Because even though there is the, quote, predictable element of the I formation stuff, and it is predictable, to be honest with you, at least so far, more will be revealed, I think, each week. We saw the, quote, new play action pass to the tight end side out of slot I to Likely that was ruled incomplete, I think 2 weeks ago against the Bills. One thing to note here, and I want to make sure I make this point before we're done, is that in the same game where we use so much 22 personnel, the same exact game, the Ravens, on their 9th possession here, which started by being down by 10, look how often we went 11 personnel. I'm not here to talk about this drive necessarily. This is the one that Lamar fumbles the ball, stiff arms Sam Hubbard twice, and then throws the touchdown to Likely. Really broke the Bengals' defense's back at that point to pull us within 38-35. Looking back at that moment, it kind of felt like we were going to win. I don't know about you, but my back to my point. Yes, there's times where we rely on 22 personnel. Yes, there's times where Monken is a little bit predictable, especially when we're in the eye. But we can also go into 11 personnel mode and throw the football a lot. This is a very versatile offense. I remember 2022. There was a time period, late 2022, before Lamar got hurt, when I said this is a more versatile offense than people want to give it credit for. I think it was before we collapsed the loss on the road in Jacksonville. And then Lamar got hurt. The offense looked obviously different. And I recall some comments in the comment section of my videos, at least, laughing about me calling it a versatile offense. Well, this one definitely is now. It certainly is versatile, even from 22 personnel. Monken can get a lot of things done from it. I think we all presumed or assumed that 12 personnel was going to be extremely successful for the Ravens in 2024 because of Andrews and Likely. I think Kolar is fast joining that group in terms of his effectiveness, not necessarily as a pass catcher who can win one-on-ones like Likely and Andrews can, but he's producing for us. 22 personnel snuck up on us. 22 personnel snuck up on me. Let me put it that way. It snuck up on me in terms of its effectiveness. I think it's actually sneaking up on the NFL as well. I think NFL defensive coordinators aren't sure what to do with our 22 personnel group. I do believe at some point they're just going to stay in their base defense. You're not going to see anyone trying to do what Lou Anarumo did twice the other day, which is bring in a fourth inside linebacker, play a heavy defensive group to kind of match numbers, match bodies, match big guys who can stop the run, because Monken has shown and Lamar has shown we can throw the ball out of this. We can run QB power read. We can run some option stuff. I think the offense is becoming this collection of 2 or maybe 3 different actual offenses all kind of thrown into a pot together. And right now, at least, it's working. Number 1 offense in the league in terms of total yards, I think 449 yards per game. Number 1 offense of the league in terms of yards per play, 6.8. It's going to be hard to get that number to 7. To my knowledge, I don't know that anyone's ever gotten to that number for a season, but I could be wrong there. And nonetheless, I think that we have tremendous versatility with 22 personnel because of Likely's pass catching ability and his improvement as a blocker, Kolar's improvement as a blocker, his also burst of productivity as a pass catcher. Andrews doesn't seem to be involved as much in these 22 personnel groups when it's run stuff. 7 would be the new record. That's kind of what I thought, yeah. Dre, I think you make a good point that we may have the most versatile offense in the league. We can go into run-heavy mode with Derrick Henry out of the eye. We can go into option mode with Lamar Jackson. We can go into 11 or 12 personnel and throw the ball a lot like we've done at times late in the Week 1 loss to the Chiefs. 2 possessions in a row, we stayed in 12 personnel, threw the ball all over the field. Last week, we had the 9th possession that I just showed the drive summary for that I keep live during the game, where we pretty much stayed in 11 personnel for 5, 6, 7 snaps in a row. I think we've got a fun offense to watch. On the other side of the coin, the defense is not fun to watch at all. I don't know if I want to do a live stream for it because I am worried that I'll say some things I'll regret because I am so frustrated with what we're doing on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm frustrated with the fact that we are so close to being an amazing football team, especially with the offense. Yet the defense is lagging behind for sometimes 2 quarters at a time, or in the case of the Bengals the other day, 2.5, almost to 3 quarters at a time. So in any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you like the live streams, please let me know. Not necessarily in the chat right now, but down below in the comment section once this video posts up. That seems to be, at least from my research, that seems to be what helps videos be driven out to larger audiences. I like to put out as much Ravens content as possible. I want to put out videos every day for you guys, but the engagement has been really low. I'll be honest with you. And so this live stream is an attempt by me to try to see if I can spark some of that engagement and get these videos to be a little bit more revenue producing for me. So appreciate you guys' time, man. This was a fun one to do. If you want, I'll try to do a personnel group video each week or something oriented to the Ravens offense on Tuesday nights. I don't want to do anything on Monday night, A, because of the Monday Night Football game, B, because Coach Evans at Sip to Tally has his stream, and I'm not trying to step on top of that nor compete with it in any way, shape, or form. So if you like the live streams, let me know in the comment section once this posts up in a moment, number one. And number two, tell me if you enjoy the personnel focus. It is a challenge to try to get it organized until I can get my database caught up. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed the video, please consider grabbing a link to this, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.